Hello traders, 'tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you on Tuesday, January the 6th. The year is 2026. Let's talk trading. The changing market with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and different from Walmal's. And one thing in a changing market, you better have your risk management in place so you don't lose more than you're willing to lose while trading. So Walmart, we were talking about this before I started the video. So the changing market.
Yes, we were talking about that. And, it's one of those things where it's an interesting topic. I think I had asked a question of you, what did I think about, the idea, or what did you think about the idea of, chaos theory in the market? The idea of chaos theory is that everything is in chaos. Everything is moving basically under its own direction in different directions at all times. Yet at the same time, it coalesces into a particular direction. And if you want to study more about that, get back to the root of that, you can look at Browning theory. You can look that up on the internet. Look it up, Google it, you'll get an understanding of it. And then go and Google how does Browning theory go and relate to the market. It's an interesting thing. It's an esoteric topic because it doesn't show you a method to go and take advantage of it, but it gives you, I think, a good understanding of what maybe or maybe not is happening. And then I asked you what your thought on that was, and you said,
Oh, I said, everything is made up. It's a story. um, in the world and in trading, all this stuff is made up. And what I mean by that is, we got support and resistance. Well, somebody made that up. We've got supply and demand. Somebody made that up. They say, well, it exists in real life. Well, no, that's just the words we use to describe it. And, we make sense out of life by telling stories. And the problem is that these stories sometimes get converted into beliefs, and people can stand hard in their belief even in the face of irrefutable facts and evidence. They still believe one thing, and that's why, to me, the most powerful force in the universe is belief, because it's the hardest to change.
you're exactly right on that. You use the example, there are people out there who can be standing out in the rain, claim that the sky is blue, and sunny, but everybody else in the world says it's not. And let's relate that back to trading. Well, that guy out there standing in the rain, getting drenched, thinking the sky is blue and it's sunny out there, and the rest of the world is saying, no, it's raining. Well, that's the guy who gets trampled over. He's the guy that gets hit by the freight train, and and that's just the reality. We see that in trading all the time. But what can happen is you talk about stories. Yesterday, I was up a whopping bunch of pips, and I was biased short, like you can't believe. I really thought the market was going to drop yesterday, and I didn't. I picked up my pips, and and the market turned, and it was like, if I had kept on to my bias, and if I really truly decided to go and hold on to that, I could have not only just lost what I had made for the day, but I could have been literally, slaughtered, because it went from where I was trading at, thinking it was a bias short, to it ran up like, I want to go and say 90, 95, 100 pips in the other direction, and it can do that, and the market can do that. And so, the market's changed, and we were talking earlier today, and I said, back in the early days, I'm talking about, 2008, somewhere around there, 2007, you had put out a couple of talking point papers, I guess is the best way to describe it. He said, draw a line in the sand and trade, and trade the direction of price. And I remember saying to him, that man is nuts. Well, but I had a friend of mine who was like, he was an avid listener to your videos at the time, and and he was trying. No, he's got something here. He's got something here. And so I'd listen and I listen and listen. And as I thought about it more and more, you know, you're right. What we're doing is, or at least what I'm doing anyway, is that I'm taking the trade basically in the direction that the price is moving. That's, so yeah, I may be biased short, but at the same time, if price keeps on moving up, why in the world would I be going and buying? Or rather, why in the world would I be selling? I need to be buying, and following that trend upward. Unless, of course, I'm trying to just go and keep on getting into a better and better price. I mean, that's a potential too. It's another way of doing things. But I could have gotten slaughtered on that, and that's the thing. You go and, like say, you tell yourself a story. You're looking at the market. I think you used the example. Hey, there's an imbalance there. That's the story you tell yourself. Hey, there's support and resistance there. Hey, that's the story I tell myself. I like to go into call it a categorization, not necessarily a story, but it comes down to the same thing. We're just labeling it differently. And what I mean by categorization is that I like to put things in boxes, good, bad, or indifferent. I like to put things in boxes. And one of the boxes I like to say is that, hey, if there's a double O close by, guess what? Price likes to move to it, and then, oh, look at this. We're about to hit the double O. Didn't even notice that.
Oh, two things I want to say about yesterday. One, you wouldn't have been slaughtered because you have your hard stops.
Exactly.
And number two,
Exactly.
you did call that it was going to hit 3,500 back when it was around, what was it, 3,450 or something?
Yep, I did. But at that point in time, it's like, and that comes down to a type of thing where there's a line here again, up there at 3,500, and I like to go and say things like, hey, that line is a magnet on that line. There's a magnet to 3,500, and under yesterday's conditions, there was another magnet on the 3,400. What do I mean by that? Price wants to go to one or the other, and then we have to go and do a reevaluation once it gets to that line. And when I started looking, I finally came to the realization, hey, it's not going down to the 3,400 like I hoped for. Okay, get out of all my trades, take my money, be happy with that, because the reality is I don't know which way it's going to go, but it seems like it's much more likely to go up to 3,500. And then I got more confirmation. Okay, it's going to 3,500. I don't know when it's going to get there, but I know it's going to get there. Sure enough, it did. But that's and that's what we have to go and contend with trading, is the fact that whether we like it or not, there there we're a bunch of traders out there, and a bunch of people. We all make up our own stories about things. Or in my case, I like to go and say we go and make up our own. We categorize things, what price is going to go and do, and based on what we see the market doing, and we need to go and recognize that, hey, okay, this is what price is doing right now. And I think I said to you earlier, Jiro, it's the type of thing where I showed you or told you about a couple of trades I had taken, and it was the type of thing where, hey, I don't know where the price is going to go on this, but I'm going to take, I'm up 5 pips, I'm up 10 pips. I'm just getting out here. It could go up a bunch more, or it may not. But from my story that I tell myself is, hey, I went into this trade to go and make X pips. Take my X pips. I've got it right now, and don't hold out for the next platter of shrimp to come out onto the buffet, as you like to say, because more times than not, it goes and runs back to the other side again, and yeah, that plate of shrimp is probably going to come out. The thing is now, if I was up 5 pips, now all of a sudden I'm down 3 pips. Now I'm emotionally crushed, and now I start doing stupid stuff, because that's what we do. And at least that's what I do. I start doing stupid stuff, and I don't want to be doing stupid stuff. I'd rather get out with my 5 pips and be angry at myself that I missed the other 5. That's okay. It's better than being in a situation where I was up 5 pips. Now I'm down 3, 4, 5 pips.
Yeah. And you're talking about stories, one of the stories that, we've been telling ourselves for a while now is the return bars. And yesterday, we had that huge H4 bar. And, after that bar completed, I'm thinking this sucker's got to go back down. But one of the things I've noticed when you have a big bar like that, sometimes it'll continue like, another 50% or so. So I just put some fib retracement lines on here, and it shows the 161.8 line, but I bet you it probably hit about the 150 point, and then from there it returned. And so, I mean, even on H4, if you look at it, if you sat on your hands, and this would have been like you would have had to wait, 16 hours, but you got a flip flop box. And then from there, you could have taken that short and made a nice little return. Because, in fact, what did it do? What's the other story I like to tell myself? You know, we like to look at it hitting pivots. And what did it do? It came back and it took out that H4 pivot from that big H4 candle. And so, you can place your bet or place your trade on those. But then again, we have stop losses in place. So in case we quote unquote guess wrong, we don't get cut up.
Right.
We don't get,
Because that
or we might take a hit, but we don't get knocked out.
exactly, and that's the thing. You got to go and do that. So, like and you have to logically place those things in places that make logical sense. What does that mean? Oh, that's another story. Support and resistance lines that make sense. Or like what I like to say is I don't like to say support and resistance lines. I know everybody else in the world does, but I like to go and say support and resistance zones. What
Mm-hmm.
I mean by they say, where the reality is that if TRO goes in, puts a line on the chart and says, "Hey, that's support line," and then Harry down the road goes and puts a one on it, it maybe he'll be close, but it's probably not going to be in the exact same spot. And if I do it, that's another thing. And then the next thing if you've got 100 traders doing it, well, now all of a sudden, you've got 50 or 60 different lines that are out there. Well, and I look at it, well, that's not a problem. I'm just going to go and say, hey, what would Harry do? What would TRO do? What would I do? And then go and draw all those lines in and say, okay, now I've got a range or a zone. Let's draw a box there. That's really it's a zone of resistance or a zone of support, and that way we know that hey, if it gets to that point, we know we're going to go into a situation where trading is going to go back up and down in that area while it try to figure out what to do, or it's going to blast through there. Either way, that's fine. And you go and pick your poison as to how you trade it. And every one of us, based on our methodology, are going to go and trade it differently. And that's okay. That's part of trading. Well, how do you do that? Well, if it's a support line and you think it's going to break that area, well, don't put your pending trade before the support, but put it on the other side of the support. Once it's been convinced that it's not just broken it, but it's broken it convincingly, that's going to continue on. I believe we're almost out of time, sir.
Yes, we are. So, fellow traders, the fastest 15 minutes in trading's just about over. So, let us know what you think about the changing market and how you deal with it. Because it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So, go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.